The Russian Empire before the First World War was at the peak of its glory, actually. It had it covered 1/6 of the Earth's surface. It had a glorious thousand-year history. Its cultural achievements were in the forefront of European developments in literature, ballet, music, you name it. And its economy, as measured by the GNP, was about as big as Germany's and a little more than 1/3 of the US at that time. Moreover, it was growing at a rate faster than either Germany or the United States. It was growing about 6% annually as opposed to 4% in these other countries. So a lot of people were forecasting a glorious future for Russia in 1913. And the question is, what happened? Why the collapse 4 years later? And the problem was one of delayed development. And the tragic part of it is that the delayed development was deliberate. In 1812, when Russia defeated Napoleon, it was clearly not in the least backward. It defeated France and a few other countries that were allied with France. But Russian officers who came to Paris after the defeat of Napoleon got infatuated with the idea of the French Revolution and said to themselves, why don't we make one at home too? And the upshot of it was that there was really a 100-year long confrontation between government and revolutionaries in Russia. And that confrontation had perverse results. The government was scared of expanding education, because if people get educated, they stop believing in God, and they'll make a revolution. So let's put a brake on education. The government put a brake on railroad construction, because why encourage journeys which are not necessary anyway? And the liberation of the peasants from serfdom was delayed, and the introduction of representative government was delayed. And so as a result, after the Napoleonic Wars, there was about a half century of stagnation, and the reforms that came were belated and partial, because of this constant fear that if you encourage reforms, they'll turn out as a revolution, which eventually they did, because they were belated. And so that in the real development was accelerated beginning with roughly the 1880s. Both economic development became very, very quick, and after Russia got representative government in 1905, the schools were much better financed, new universities were open, and so on. But still, by the time 1917 came around, 80% of the population was still rural. It was they were basically peasants, and they had their civil rights only since 1906, and 60% of the population was illiterate, and so on. So they were underneath the external glory of the empire. There were these internal fissures which contributed to the collapse in 1917.